Hi folks, thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Greg and this is all about candles. I'm your self-proclaimed Canadian candle connoisseur, and every Sunday, you know I gotta do the WWW Weekly Wax Wrap-Up, which is just a really quick synopsis of all of the candles that I've burned through this week, how they did, how they performed, what the scent notes were. Weekly Wax Wrap-Up is really good if you're not interested in watching more long-form candle reviews. These are all candles that I think I'm gonna do big reviews for. I have 5 Bath & Body Works candles and 1 DW Home candle. Let's get the anomaly out of the way. This is Spa Day. I love the way that this smelled in Winners where I bought it for $11.99. It reminded me a little bit of a Perfect Winter from Bath & Body Works' Candle Day last year, but man, it did not perform like that. The scent notes for this one were aromatic roseberry and camphor, accented with spearmint and eucalyptus. This was just too weak for me. I'd say it was like a 3.5 in an open area, maybe a 4 for strength and throw when I had it in the bathroom. Eventually, I just put it outside and enjoyed the ambience that it provided me with. Yeah. The other problem with this one was that I think the first burn, it took about 7 hours to pull out properly, and that was after I put it in a hurricane. Subsequent burns were a little bit more successful, but at the height of its powers, when I had a nice, thick, even wax pool on it, it was only giving me like a 4 out of 10 for strength and throw. Kind of disappointing, especially since I've been having good luck lately with these DW candles. In fact, I'm burning some DW candles right now that are quite nice, including Neroli, which I think I hauled a couple of weeks ago for you. I've been having better luck with them, but this was a big miss. Approximately 56 hours of burn time, 2 wicks. Quite frankly, this candle lasted longer than I really wanted it to, and so at a certain point, it just kind of got banished to the balcony. Not a repurchase for me, not something I'm going to recommend. Next up, I had Hummingbird Tea Cake from Bath & Body Works. For me, this was like a gourmand banana cream cheese candle. I sent out a search party looking for the pineapple note that's in this, and I never got it. The scent notes are pineapple cake batter, cinnamon spice, and toasted pecans. The pecans and the cinnamon you definitely get in like the mid to base. And the banana is what I'm smelling more, and banana is not listed in here, but I Wikipedia'd hummingbird cake, and it's pineapple and banana with like cream cheese frosting. This is like a basey banana. For me, if there was some pineapple in this, I'd feel like it would be a top note of something a little bit acidic, juicy, and bright. I'm not getting much of a top in this candle. The banana is like a base, like a mid to a base, gourmandy, cakey, little bit of like that cream cheese frosting in there. To me, the Wikipedia description of hummingbird cake was much more accurate than the scent notes that they gave us. It performed really well though, all the way down to the wick nickels. I'd say that the strength and throw was around a 7 to a 7.5, and it looked really pretty as well. I would recommend this, and I purchased a backup that I'll probably be burning next spring. Yum. Hummingbird Tea Cake. Also got through fresh cut lilacs. Oh gosh, I've talked so much about how beautiful these jars are and how beautiful they look when they're burning. I didn't need another fresh cut lilacs in my life, but this one was just so beautiful. I had to pick it up anyways, and I'm glad I did. Even though I could tell, smelling this on cold, that it is a weaker version of fresh cut lilacs than we're used to. Usually a fresh cut lilacs would give me like an 8 for strength and throw, whereas this one was like a 7, maybe a 7.5. I actually did have an older version kicking around that I compared it to, and a much older version kicking around that I compared it to, but I didn't even need to. That one I've been lamping. Doesn't have much smell left. This one's strong. This one's not quite finished, and it's much stronger than this year's version, which is a confusing choice to me. I don't think any of us want our candles getting weaker. If you want a weaker candle, go get a single wick. Don't make my fresh cut lilacs weaker. I like when it gives it to me good. But anyways, beautiful candle, performed quite nicely. I'm not sure why this looks so weird. I must have done something to it. I think I like moved it around after it hadn't been lit for a long time, or maybe put it in a crock or a candle lamp, but it burned all the way down to the wick nickels and performed nicely. Not as strong as previous years, but not bad. Backyard Honeysuckle. This candle confused me a little bit. It's not like a honey scented candle. It's like the flower, a honeysuckle. I think it would have been nice if there was a little bit of a honey note in the base, because this is a very top heavy candle. Sweet honeysuckle, orange flower blossom, and neroli nectar. A little bit too perfumey and cloying for me. I'm also picking up on a different type of a white floral, like a jasmine. To me, honeysuckle would be like a light, delicate, intoxicating fragrance, whereas this one was just a little bit too thick for me. Maybe my expectations kind of set me up for disappointment with this one. And even though I enjoyed burning it, I don't think I'll burn it again, because there were certain times where it just kind of felt like I was in a perfumery. And not the perfumery that I wanted to be in. I swear there's jasmine in here. Orange blossom, neroli, I definitely get a little bit of that. The good news is that it performed really well. It was quite strong. I'd say a 7 or a 7.5. Thick rope-like wicks. I burned it all the way down to the wick nickels. And yeah, a one and done for me, but a decent candle. I liked that it was something new, something a little bit different. I also finished a coffee and whiskey off from the Neutrals line. I don't get the whiskey note in this. To me, this is like a tonka, amber, a little bit nutty and a little bit woodsy. It's quite different than last year's version was. This one is a little bit weaker, but also a little bit more nuanced. The one from last year was very, very hard, straight up amber. Like I said, this is just a lot of amber to me with like some tonka, and I don't pick up on whiskey. The scent notes are bold Irish whiskey, splash of vanilla, hint of coffee. This is a conceptual candle to me, more than it is a literal coffee and whiskey situation. And I liked it. I like this version, I think, more than last year's, even though it's not quite as strong. I'd say that this was probably about a 7 for strength and throw. And yeah, I liked it. I probably will repurchase it again, but not this exact same iteration. I want to see if they tweak the formula even more. I want to see if they can make it a bit better. And what I mean by that would just be to try to further balance it out a little bit more. And maybe up the coffee even more. I feel like the coffee is a little bit stronger in this one than it was in last year's version, but there's something that just feels a little bit misleading about this candle. Although I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's an odd choice for body care though. I wouldn't want to smell like this. But yeah, no, overall, coffee and whiskey, not bad. Last but not least, I got through Almond Croissant. Gosh, this reminds me so much of these almond cookies that my mother makes. They're like sugar almond cookies with a white almond frosting on top. And I think that part of the reason why I like this candle so much is because it reminds me of that. The scent notes are toasted almonds, vanilla glaze, and flaky croissant. I'm not picking up on the croissant in this. To me, those scent notes would indicate something a little bit lighter, airier, starchier, something more bread. I was kind of assuming there'd be like that French baguette scent note in here, but there wasn't. This is a very high, sweet, sharp almond sugar cookie. They should have just called it almond sugar cookie, and maybe people wouldn't have been quite as put off by how strong and how sweet it was. Because, yeah, a croissant to me should be a little bit more lighter, fluffier, flaky, whereas this is like a dense baked almond cookie with almond icing. I liked it, but I honestly have to admit to probably liking it so much because it reminds me so much of my mother's baking, you know? I did repurchase one because I want to burn it next Christmas when my mother does all her Christmas baking, and I want her to smell it and confirm to me that it smells exactly like her cookies. Yeah, I liked it. I can understand how some people would find it a little bit too high and sweet and cloying. I'd say this performed at a 7.5 or a solid 8 even. I did get it. It did dud out a little about halfway through. And I did end up removing a little bit of wax at a certain point, but then it did okay. I'd recommend it. I'd smell it first because it could be a little bit too much for some people. Yeah, that's all I have for you today. Oh, I wanted to give a shout out to my homeboy, David. He just bought a beautiful new home, and I went to go visit him there last night, and he was burning a vanilla bean woodwick candle. Woodwick is now, the same company as Yankee and Chesapeake Bay. And the Woodwicks all have like those wooden crackly wicks. And this was a really large, almost like boat-shaped candle. I'll find some pictures of it and put them up there. So I went over there to visit him, and he lit up this candle, and it smelled fantastic. It was just called Vanilla Bean. It was really smooth and had sort of a tonka smell to it. And even though it was such a large candle, it had a wooden wick on it that was about an inch long. And for such a large candle, it pooled out quite quickly and quite nicely and had a nice, strong presence. I was like, ooh, David, you know a thing or two about a nice candle here. And David was like, my mother gave it to me as a present. Bless. But yeah, have any of you guys been burning woodwick candles? Because I was pleasantly surprised by it. Although I should say, he did give me an update today and tell me that the candle didn't perform as well in the last half of its life as it did in the first half when I was there hanging out with him. Apparently it got a little bit discolored and started to dud out a tiny bit, but the fragrance was still really nice. So anyways, shout out to David, shout out to Woodwick Candles, and congratulations, David, on your beautiful new home. I look forward to hanging out there more. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could leave me a like, comment, if you could subscribe, that would really mean the world. And until next time, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Bye, folks. Thanks.